Recording. Right. There we go.
There you
We're
go.
recording. We are officially recording. So I'm excited for this session. This is the new time that we've started. And I sort of started this specifically because this time for Europeans, because the Europeans, we were doing a Saturday morning here in Melbourne, and that was, an ungodly hour of the day in Europe. So we're doing two now. So this is morning. So welcome to the Europeans. So Sue, I'm doing this for Sue. She's going to be gone in 5 minutes. So
yeah.
So
I'll watch later.
Yeah, you can watch it later. And Genevieve is in the Canary Islands, and so it's good to be here. It's good to have you. Just to give, for those of you that are here for the first time, just to give you a quick overview of why I'm running these. These are monthly. These are for authors, entrepreneurs. These are for people that have written books, in the process of writing books, wanting to be successful with their books and use them to create options, opportunities, exciting life, help more people, inspire more people, make money, retire young, and live on a beach somewhere. Who's up for that? Anyone up for that? Then we're in the right room. We're in the right Zoom room. So, so I know, again, in this call, we've got people in varying stages. I'm excited to have Carol here and honoured because Carol is a para-Olympian, only a couple of weeks away from going to Tokyo. Well, when do you go, Carol?
We leave Brisbane on the 20th of August, and I race on the 31st of August and the 2nd of September.
Awesome. And so Carol's a cyclist, and she's already won 3 Paralympic gold medals. So this is her 3rd Paralympics, Carol.
Yes.
So she's obviously going for more gold for herself and her country, and she's an incredibly inspiring lady. She's got multiple sclerosis and has you can listen. I've done a couple of podcasts with Carol. They're inspiring, and show us your book, Carol. This is her latest
hot
book.
off the press. So
I'll get you to talk about that, Carol, in a sec, if that's cool. So that's because Carol's family history is in police officers in Canada, and Carol was also a police officer for about 10, 13 years. Is that right, Carol?
14, but who's counting?
14 years before she came to Australia, married an Aussie, got diagnosed with multiple sclerosis and turned into Olympian, Paralympian.
Yeah.
There you go, as we do. So she's got an amazing story, and it's great that you're here. Also, I just want to recognise young Patrick Bonello, who's a wonderful man who's going to share some stuff today. Patrick's a great friend of mine. We go back decades. We do. And Patrick's got his business here in Victoria. He's a designer, web designer. My website is, I handle it to Patrick. He actually is the instrumental in the design of my book, the book cover for my latest book. He designs logos and business cards and stuff. And also he's a bit of a tech. He's got a podcast. What's your podcast called, Patrick?
Okay, Smartass.
Okay, Smartass. So he's a tech guru. So anything tech, Patrick's your man. So I thought it'd be good for him to join and have a chat about what he's doing and his perspective on how to make the book more saleable and more and the other stuff that supports your book, your website and your social media and all your other smart-ass tech stuff. And it's good to have Genevieve here. Genevieve, we met just recently, didn't we? And we're about to do a podcast together. She's doing some wonderful things. So wonderful to have you here. So, and so hello. This is an open forum, and the whole concept of this is for me not to do all the talking, okay? Because sometimes I start talking and I can't shut up. So I like shutting up. I like listening to inspiration. So I think what I'd like to do as a first step is very quickly, if everyone could just maybe, I mean, I've obviously done an intro to Patrick and Carol, but a quick intro, just introduce yourself, why you're here, where you're at in the journey, and then we'll just go from there. Yeah? How about Sue, because you're going to bugger off shortly, why don't you introduce yourself?
Oh, I will. Yeah. Hi, everybody. I am so pleased, first of all, to be able to be here. And I intend to be here to start my week in style, Andrew, 9 o'clock on a Monday. How cool is that? Yeah. I'm an absolute novice with a book in my head, and Andrew's been very inspirational, helpful and supportive so far. My background's medicine, I'm a doctor, that's what I'm doing today. And I've been a doctor for over 30 years. So all that experience, I guess, plus life, plus lots of other things. In the last 10 years, I've started to specialise in my passion, really, which is lifestyle medicine, and I've become a coach and everything that's kind of around that. And yeah, I've just got a fascination for behaviour change, particularly in the area of health, well-being, personal fulfillment, optimization, all that kind of stuff. So there's loads more. I'm a mum of three, two teenagers now, one 21-year-old, wife, dog owner. Oh God, I don't know, loads of other things.
That's awesome.
Lots of other things.
She's an entrepreneur. She's a very busy lady, but yeah, we're dragging that book out of you, aren't we, Sue?
We are.
And we will continue to do so. So thanks and welcome. Deborah, Deb Marks, why don't we go to you and you can tell us, because you're an inspirational lady for sure.
I'm really inspirational.
Wow.
Yeah, and aspirational. I'm a retired mental health nurse of 38 years, and my passion is writing murder mysteries that are set in the field of mental health. So I'm coming up to the last couple of chapters of number 3, but there's a few other large hunks in my background of 40-odd thousand words and whatever that really I'm thinking, could zoom one of those out next.
So what's your goal? What you said you're aspirational, Deborah. What's your aspiration?
I'd like to have enough money to set up a small charity for young women who are in dire straits, and there's plenty of those in the Warburton Valley in one form or another. People whose kids haven't got enough blankets on their bed and things like that, and it's really freaking cold here. So that would be certainly one of my passions, would be to have enough money to help in that situation.
Awesome. Well, good on you. And I know we've just started working together, Deb, but I know you will do it. You're a determined and inspiring lady for sure. So welcome. We might jump to the other side of the world. Hi, Genevieve. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what inspirational stuff you're doing?
Yes, first of all, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. So, Andrew, you're pronouncing my name really well. I just want to say that it's been a saga in my life. I'm French Canadian. So for all of you, I'm okay to be called Jen as well. I'm currently living in the Canary Islands. And what I do is I'm a productivity coach and I'm a leadership development coach. And I help people organize their life, have more time for what matters most. And I'm really into improv as well. For anybody who know improv comedy, you may have recognized the yes and behind me. So yes, I work with executive managers, and I have published my story before in a book, my story, where I come from a background of being really, really driven, and still am, but so much that I would wear myself to the ground once and twice and thrice. And so that's what brought me here today in terms of I'm still very driven and building my business and so on, but from a place of wellness. And that's why I'm a fan of Andrew's message and what he brings to the world. So so I've already published, co-published my story in a book that was with many other authors, and I'm interested into exploring what to publish next. So
awesome. That's wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for welcoming me here.
You're welcome, Genevieve. Welcome, and wonderful to have you. I love this. I just love this international flavour we've got. And why don't we fly to the other side of Australia? Say hello to Kat. Kat's in Perth.
Hello, I am. I'm born in America, spent my 20s in Japan, now live in Perth after 8 years in South Australia. So forgive the accent, no one knows where it came from, including myself. So my day job is as a product manager for a software company that provides technological solutions to enable care providers to offer disability and home care solutions for aged care. My non-day job passions are wide, disparate, but the organization I was working with before my current role specialized in STEM education, so science, technology, engineering, and maths education. So developed products to help teachers empower students, so particularly in coding, computer science and coding. But yes, STEM education is a real area of interest for me. And so the project I'm currently working on with well, he's a software engineer, but a partner as well, a writing partner. So he and I are working on a project to develop effectively projects that well, any aged person, probably like year 7 and above, could do to create art using physics. So for example, have you build a small pendulum with a cup at the bottom, so that can drip out paint, and then add magnets to that build so that the magnet field will actually screw up the pendulum movement. So yeah, so we're creating a series of different activities that'll teach some kind of Newtonian physics basics with sort of arty flair to just try to lower the bar for students who aren't traditional STEM students necessarily. So yeah, so my current project has me double checking my physics constantly, and yeah, trying not to get paint all over my carpet.
That's awesome. That's Kat. As you're explaining that, and I had no idea what you were saying, but Patrick was just nodding his head. The tech nerd got everything you were saying then. So you and Patrick are going to have lots of conversations about that. I can tell.
Sounds good.
But Kat,
I was actually thinking about non-Newtonian fluids, so I'm not even going to go there. But
yeah.
Look,
when you try to replicate for a classroom, you start to throw a lot of activities out. We did look at Oobleck, but it's hard to make art with Oobleck, to be quite honest.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, thanks, Kat. Kat's been a really regular. Kat's been a regular part of this forum, and is a wonderful contributor. So you're enjoying this new time, aren't you, Kat? Because the Saturday morning one's early in the morning for you in Perth, so this one's a bit more reasonable time. Now, Marcia, hello. I want to welcome Marcia. She's in the UK as well. Would you like to introduce yourself? Hello.
Hi everyone. So yes, I am Marcia. I am, well, I don't even know where to start. I'm a mum. I've got 3, I call them 3 kings. I've got 5 grandchildren. I have a background of health, so my background is health. I've worked in the healthcare industry as a nurse and a physician assistant for forever, and I recently took early retirement last year during the lockdown, and just decided that this was a time that I needed to do something different. I am a survivor of narcissistic and domestic abuse, so I decided that I wanted to do some work around that, support and help women. So I started a podcast. I'm actually retrained as a coach as well. So I'm really enjoying doing that work, and I'm looking forward to writing my book all about that as well. So
good on you, Marcia. Welcome. And she's a very courageous lady too. So going to write a very inspiring book. And Judy. Hello, Judy.
Hello, Andrew. Hello, everyone. Okay, I've got a vast background of international development and health and education and sport and real estate. And I'm now looking for my next adventure, and I'm finding it really difficult at the ripe old age of 60 to be employed in a field, which is really quite interesting. So I think the reason that's happening is because I'm meant to go and do something else. And I think that other thing is to help women over the age of 60 not to be invisible and to actually shine in the world. So that's what I'm planning on doing now. But the reason that I caught up with Andrew in the beginning was that I'm also writing, I've started writing a children's book about my West Highland Terrier, Ralphie. And the idea is to have a series of those and to also have an educational slant to them. So teaching children a lot of the things that they don't get taught in primary school. So that's, and I live in South Australia in Encounter Bay.
And welcome. Good to see you, Jenny.
Thank you.
So thank you, everyone. And I know, Patrick, we're going to talk to you right now. And then, Carol, if you've got the time, we want to come back to you. Is that cool? You've still got a bit more time? Awesome. Because we want to hear about your new book. We want to hear about your journey. Carol's got some incredible gems of wisdom that will inspire you way more than I can. So that's why I want her to chat about her new book. But young Patrick Bonello, thanks for being here, mate. I really appreciate it. So Patty and I go back. When I was a personal trainer, Patrick was one of my clients. I used to hurt him a lot, and he kept coming back and he kept paying me. And I'm thinking, okay, well, so and I think I've influenced him to the point now where he's now a very regular well-being man. He's got his own Tai Chi website and does all sorts of stuff. But one of the things that he's always been is incredibly giving and very generous man, but he's very talented. I just have to tell a story, mate. My latest book is called Tears of Joy, and I've got a publisher, and they've been fluffing around with a cover design, and they just didn't get the essence of the book. And I was frustrated, pulling my hair out, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to ring Patrick. And I said, Patty, I just need some ideas. And of course, he went to the next degree. I said, this is what I want. This is the essence of what I'm trying to create. And the next day, I get an email from him. He said, I got this idea at 1 a.m. And he'd sent me this cover design. And I thought, bang, in a heartbeat, he got it. He got the essence. I loved it. And it's now the cover. And I went back to the publishers and said, this is what I want. So effectively, they've recreated Patrick's design. But this man is an incredibly talented designer. He's very intuitive. And I think the reason is because he connects with people and he understands people. So, Patty, good to see you, mate.
Well, thank you. That's I actually wasn't sure whether you were speaking about me or the other bloke in the room called Patty.
No, he just left.
Look, thank you very much for letting me join in. And I guess I don't want to go into too much detail. My background is as a radio journalist, and I had a really two big life-changing events. One actually was meeting Andrew and realizing health and well-being were an important life journey that I needed to take on for the rest of my life. And that was pretty amazing. But the other thing that happened is my mother got early onset Alzheimer's at a very young age, in her early 60s. And so watching her downward spiral made me make a lot of life changes. One was I pulled out my TV aerial and I never watched television ever again. I do stream occasionally, so I mean, but it's not television. And the other thing was I eventually got out of journalism and did a tree change, and I moved an hour west of Melbourne to be living in a rural community. I started volunteering as well as running my own business. So those were the really major things. And when I look at all these wonderful faces and the diversity of people, I think these life affirming, sometimes they're positive, sometimes they're challenging, but they all promote a change in our lives. And we suddenly come to a realization that we have a finite time and what really has value in our lives. So giving within a community structure, and Deborah was talking earlier about wanting to be able to add to the lives of people in her community who were suffering. And look, I went through an amazing life journey at a very young age, being a young gay man in a working class background during the AIDS crisis, a lot of self-hate. And that for me made life very difficult. And it self-harm, contemplating suicide, all those sorts of things. And to go through that journey makes you a stronger person. We always still have those challenges in our lives, but to be able to realize that we can empower other people, whether it be through community events or community interactions, or just by being realistic about why we're doing what we're doing. I love forming partnerships with my clients, and most of my clients become friends, which is a wonderful thing too. Jobbers and I, as Andrew said, Andrew and I, we were running along the beach at, I don't know, 6 o'clock in the morning, being torturously, pushed through sand and doing some amazing boot camp stuff together. But I've been so fortunate to meet people in my life like Andrew who have added so much value, and it's been an amazing journey. So yeah, and I did wake up at 1:30 in the morning, and Andrew's book cover was there in my head, and I just was lucky that that it was all there, and I feel so honoured and privileged to have been able to design that cover and his website, and been a partner of the journey and logos and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's been a great experience.
So thanks, mate. I just for everyone, I just want to just share this. If you haven't seen it, I think it's just worth just share it, just so you can see it. Where are we? So that's the cover that, and I mean, just where Patrick woke up in the middle of the night and came up with that idea. It's just I guess the perfect cover, for me. Tears of Joy is a book around personal transformation and creating joy, and to me that cover sort of epitomized it. So I think the reason why I wanted to have Patrick here was for a couple of things. He's a good mate, and I know he's inspiring, mate. Listening to you just tell that early part of your story about the struggles, you need to write a book too, by the way. So I'm going to start getting on your back about that.
The problem is I wrote radio copy for years, and as a journalist, and everything I do is in bite-sized pieces. So they're all 30-second sound bites. That's
all right. There's the title of your book.
There you go.
30-second sound bites. There's the title of your book. I've given you that for free. I would charge people thousands for that little piece of advice, Patty, but for you, it's nothing, mate. But what I'd like to ask you for these guys that are here, the importance of, the book is one thing. And I say this all the time, and everyone's heard me say this ad nauseum, it's not about the book. You don't write a book to be an author. And that sounds weird, but we don't write a book to be an author. We write a book to entertain, to inspire, to impact. We write a book to create opportunities. I know Deborah wants to write a book to make money for a charity. I know that Judy wants to write a book to not have to go to work so she can have an influence on women. I know Carol is a speaker, an inspirational speaker, and wants to do more of that sort of stuff. So I know, Kat, you want to get out of a job. You're a writer. You want to be doing it full time. And Genevieve, I know you've got things you want to do. Marcia, I know you want to write the book to create wealth for yourself and for your family and for your boys and to impact people's lives. We're all writing books, and Debbie, we can't hear or see Debbie, but she's down there. I just want to acknowledge you that we know you're there, Debbie, but it's not about the book. And so there's other things that have to go along with becoming an author, not just being a good writer. Yeah. And your website's important, your image is important, your presence is important, all sorts of things. So Patrick, just give us a little bit of perspective from your point of view, the importance of these other supporting things around design, around covers, around websites, and how you see how they fit into a successful author's toolkit.
Sure. Obviously, a book cover is really an intimate and personal part of what your story is about. And it can be an easy journey, a difficult journey. And it's got to be something, if you employ somebody to come up with that creative piece for you, I think the most important thing is not to compromise. And it's interesting with Andrew and I having this discussion, I'm glad he didn't compromise, because he knew it wasn't what he wanted. And you've got a whole gamut of really interesting designs for all of your previous books, Andrew, but the reality of it is you can't compromise on yourself. You've worked so hard on putting your words on paper. So every aspect of that has to be something you really fall in love with. So I think that's the first thing that...
Can I just add to that?
Yeah.
And sorry to interrupt, but what's the saying? Don't judge a book by its cover. What do people do?
Yeah.
Everyone judges a book by its cover.
Yeah.
Sorry, mate. Just thought.
No, you're absolutely right, and that's what's going to get someone to pick it up off the shelf or get the ebook download or whatever it happens to be. When Andrew mentioned the website, we went through that journey, maybe 2 or 3 years ago, of redesigning Andrew's website. So the original site was great, but it needed to serve a lot of purposes. And I think the user experience is what I always come back to with my clients. And that's about, what do you want to achieve with your site? There's a due diligence aspect. Who is this person? What do they do? How can they help me? So I think that's really important. But I think when you do sit down with whoever it is that you're going to be working with on that creative project, and I realize budget's always hard too. And there's lots of really great free software out there. So take advice. There's lots on YouTube. You can do a lot of research. Every minute of research you do is going to really help you down the track. And not everybody can afford to get a professional designer to come in and design that site, or, but don't reinvent the wheel. I guess that's the key thing. So if you don't have a budget, it's okay. You can still do a lot of really great stuff out there. You can use social media. You can engage with people. And so it's a bit of a give and take, I suppose. And if you can afford it, that's fantastic. Find someone you're happy with, somebody who you feel comfortable with, who can see and realize what your vision is. Because I actually just finished another book cover recently. I don't do lots of book covers, but I've just done 2 in 1 month.
That's your now, mate.
Yeah. But the other one was for a guy who spent the last 12 months writing poems that were inspiring as a result of COVID. So when he got locked down, he started writing a lot of poetry. And so again, I feel so privileged when someone entrusts me with a job like that. And it was really quite a coincidence that Andrew did at the same time. But as I said, use the free tools that are out there. Jump onto forums, jump onto YouTube, see what people have to say. Listen to people like Andrew, because Andrew's done it many, many, many times. But I think the genuine thing that I really appreciate about working with jobbers is that his heart's in the right place. And I think that, whatever advice you get, use your gut. The old thing they say to kids that, if you've got those butterflies in your stomach, go with it. And I think sometimes your gut feeling is a really good indicator as to whether it looks right, whether it is right, whether the person you're working with is doing the right thing. If it's about you and it's going to benefit you and value add to what you are doing, do they realize your vision? Because if it's if it's a cookie machine kind of thing, well, then maybe it's not the right thing for you as well. But yeah, I hope that answered that question.
Awesome, mate. Oh, we might open it up and see, has anyone got any questions for Patrick around designs, websites, that sort of techie sort of nerd stuff? Nerd, I mean that in the most loving. Yeah, Deb.
Patrick, I'm wanting to include the theme of Australia in all of my books and in my book covers and so on.
Yep.
So the book before this one is My Silver Wallaby. So I need to find a silver wallaby. Anyway, I did actually pull into my driveway one night and there was a wallaby there, and that's how the book got its title. So, yeah. Do you know any website places where you can get wallabies?
That's a good question. And I'm sure most of you realise that everything that you see on the internet is subject to copyright. So it's important that we respect the fact that people are digital artists, people are photographers, and we need to understand that even though it's in the public domain, it does belong to somebody. I use the Envato market, and I can send the link through. But Envato Elements, or Envato, is really great because it for a very, very small subscription, you can get access to tens of thousands, millions of photographs. That's a potential one. The other thing is you might want to ask within your local community to see if there's a local artist. We have a group here called the Wombat Regional Arts Network, and maybe you could connect with an artist who would be overwhelmed to be able to, be on the front cover of your book. As I digress, I do this podcast about tech, and Google just recently, for people who are Pixel phone users, released 3 amazing, wallpaper images of Indigenous Australian artists. And it's one of the first times they've done that with regional artists. And I thought that was really a great initiative by such a big, enormous organisation that wanted to recognise that. So I thought that was really inspiring. So perhaps even just, as I said, interacting with your local community to see if there's a way that you could potentially get something there. So there's great stock library out there, but there's also a great way to maybe find or tap into somebody, even kids, at the local high school. You just don't know what untapped talent there might be there, and it could be just a lovely way to partner with an organisation or a group.
I've just got someone in mind, so that's
great.
Awesome. Thanks, Patty. Thanks, Deborah. Anyone else got any more questions for Patrick? No. Patty, can you just type your contact details, your website, and your email address in the chat, just so if people want to reach out to you, they can. And I'll follow this up with an email, so I'll send your contact details there, so people.
Not at all. Thanks, Jobbers. Yeah.
Thanks for input. Please feel free to hang around if you like, mate, or if you go, we understand as well. I want to spend a bit of time with Carol, just because I know. So as I said, Carol is a Paralympian and an incredibly inspiring lady. We first met, and she'd self-published her first book when we first met last year, and we did a podcast together. Self-published it, wasn't really happy necessarily with the results she got. And I said to her, Carol, you should not someone that should be self-publishing. In fact, I don't think anyone should self-publish, by the way. Some people will, and that's okay. But I don't think anyone needs to self-publish. I think if we believe enough in ourselves and we follow through with the right process, every single person can get a publishing contract. So with that in mind, Carol said, all right, I've got another book I want to write, and we started working together. And I think from about May last year to about November, Carol started and had a publishing contract. And so within 6 months of writing that second book, she had a publishing contract. And now she has that book with a traditional publisher, and just in the very early stages. So it's still, she's now about to go to Tokyo. So I guess timing for the book coming out hasn't been perfect, but it doesn't matter. You're going to win a gold medal and then sell millions of copies of your book. So firstly, so many reasons to congratulate you, Carol, firstly, for being a Paralympian. Do you mind if I tell people how old you are?
Well, no, that's okay. I can say I just had my 60th birthday on Friday. So, I became a Paralympian at the age of 51. So I'm a late bloomer. What can I say?
And if you listen to Carol's podcast I did with her last year sometime, her Olympic dream started when you were 9 years old. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess I was 7 when I first watched the Mexico Olympics. And I watched the gymnastics. And of course, I loved gymnastics when I was a little girl. And at 9, my girlfriend and I decided we were going to be Olympians for Canada. And we tried out for an elite gymnastics club. And she made it in. And I was told I was too fat. And I wasn't allowed to even walk through the door. So devastated. I went home, obviously, in tears. And my mom, she was a smart cookie. She just kind of taught me to think outside the square. And she said, well, if you want to do gymnastics, just keep doing it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. But if you want to go to the Olympics, maybe you should try a different sport. And so I did. I started swimming the following year. And of course, my goal was the 1980 Olympics. And it's quite funny now, because when I tell that story to the teammates that I have now, none of them were born in 1980. So, it's like, I feel really old. But it's quite funny. They keep me young. 1980, of course, Canada boycotted the Olympics. So that dream went out the window. And, so when I joined the police force, what else do you do? So my dream was gone. So I decided on something else. My mom's whole idea of think outside the square came back to me, and yeah, I thought, well, I'll do something different, and I joined the police force and thought it would be my career for the rest of my life. My grandfather was a policeman. My dad was a policeman. My mom was the 14th woman ever hired in Toronto. Mom and dad met there. I think mom just joined to find a man.
Worked.
At least I say that to her, and she's like, no. And then, yeah, I followed in their footsteps. My sister was the rebel. Patrick, she became a journalist. So, she was always looking for a good story. And so I wrote my first book about overcoming obstacles and trying to, break into whatever it is you want to break into, and having the belief in yourself to do that. And I called it Finding Your Inner Gold. And it's funny, I added a chapter after Rio because I wrote it before Rio, and it just didn't feel like it had finished. I had one more chapter to give. And so I rewrote it and released it in 2017. And funny enough, when the lockdown happened, when COVID hit and we're stuck at home and we realized that the Paralympics weren't going ahead, I'd just been writing my family history. And then that's when I met Andrew. And we can all blame Andrew for where we are now. Patrick, you're not the only one, and I'm sure everybody else here can do the same. And I did the podcast with you, Andrew, and he asked me if I was writing another book. And I said, well, I'm kind of writing my family history. And I think the best question that he could have asked me was, well, who's going to read it? And I thought, good question. Who's going to want to know the hell? Who cares about my family history?
I don't think I was that direct, surely.
Yeah, you were. You were. That was your question. Who's going to read it? Who is your target audience? And I hadn't actually thought about that. And so trying to rework the book, it was all about the lessons I learned through the history of policing in my family, and how I went from being a police officer to becoming a Paralympian, and dealing with all the changes in my life that happened, because I've had some massive changes. Obviously, moving 16,000 kilometers away from my family to a country that I'd visited, but didn't really know a lot of people, to marry a man into a ready-made family. Yeah, big changes. And then my diagnosis of MS when I'd never been sick a day in my life. My journey through disability, living in a wheelchair full time, getting out of that chair, and eventually getting my life back on track. And so a lot of the lessons that I learned through all those family members being on the job, and my own 14 years on the job, I was able to actually work into the book. And as I've said on these forums in the past, the easiest way that I found to write it was, we're in lockdown. What else are you going to do other than train on an indoor trainer? Because I kept my training up. But it was like, get up early in the morning like I normally would. I didn't change anything. I'd make my hot cup of tea or whatever it was I was drinking in the morning, and I'd sit down for 90 minutes, 6 days out of 7. And I would just write for 90 minutes. At that time in the morning, there was no phone calls. There was no distraction. My husband was still in bed. The only thing is the dog wanted to be fed at 6, because the dog has it in his head that 6 o'clock is the feed time. And then I'd finish that 90 minutes and I would leave one sentence unfinished. I'd stop mid-train of thought, so that the next day I could come back and go, what was I thinking about then? And I'd read half the sentence and go, oh, that's right. And I was able to carry on. There was no blockage that happened because I left a sentence unfinished. And funny enough, I guess I had started just writing little bits of snippets in April of last year. And on August 25th, and if it's okay, here's my new book,
Yes,
The Force Within, From Police Officer to Paralympian. I'd just like to read this is how my conclusion, because I put these words down exactly on the 25th of August, 2020. And I wrote today, the 25th of August, 2020, should have marked the opening of the Tokyo Paralympics. For me, the year 2020 was probably going to be my last Paralympic Games. I would be 59. And I didn't think I had another one in my sights. So I told myself this was going to be my best year ever. My goal was to come away with another gold medal to add to the 3 I already had. I'd been unbeaten in the time trial over the last 2 games, London and Rio. So I wanted another one in Tokyo. Even though I'd won the road race in Rio, it was going to be hard to do it again. Pulling off a gold medal would certainly have been a bonus, but the time trial was my target. My dreams for this year have been shattered by the pandemic that is sweeping the world. I certainly know that there's something bigger than the Paralympics happening. It's called life. I know that there are people out there who are having the worst day of their life or even the last day of their life. So I'm one of the lucky ones. I haven't been touched by the pandemic personally. My family is safe. I have a roof over my head and a fridge full of food, but it still hurts to have the last 4 years of training be put on hold or maybe lost forever. So it was kind of bittersweet that opening day was the last day that I finished this book, but it worked out so well. You know, it just finished it off, because sometimes I think, you know, we think, how far do I go? Like, where do I end this? There has to be an ending to a book. Doesn't mean the story has to end, because, well, as Deborah said, she's on number 3. So, but how do you end it? And I think that was so perfect. And I remember calling Andrew and saying, I've put the last words down and I'm done. And he said, right, now you got to find a publisher. And to be honest, I think finding the publisher was harder than writing the book, because every single publisher wanted something different. Now I have 24 chapters. One publisher wanted a paragraph on every chapter. It was like rewriting the book. One publisher wanted 1 sentence per chapter. One wanted the first 3,000 words. One wanted the first 5,000 words. I mean, it was blowing my mind. Like, it was just ridiculous. Some weren't accepting manuscripts because it was the end of the year. And then I found this real tiny publisher in Melbourne, and I just thought, oh, well, and they just wanted the whole manuscript. So I just went, oh, this one's easy. And I remember Andrew had said to me, and most of the websites said, if you haven't heard from us, you know, within 3 to 6 months, we probably don't want your work, because sometimes we can't reply. But Andrew had said it's going to take, you know, at least 3 months to hear back. So I kept track of every publisher that I sent it to, the exact date and time, and I wrote it all down when I, you know, hit that send button. So it was November 6th, and it was about 1:50 p.m. And off I sent this stuff to Brolga Publishing in Melbourne. And to be honest, I'd got a couple back that had said, sorry, it's not in our genre, but we suggest you approach this company, which was great feedback. And so on exactly 1 week to the day, almost the exact same time, it was Friday the 13th of November, and I was having a catch up with Andrew at 2 p.m. that day. And about 1:45, I thought, oh, I'll check my emails. I jumped on, and there was an email from Brolga Publishing, and I thought, oh yeah, here we go again. This will be another, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. And I opened it up, and it was Mark from Brolga, who owns it. And he said, I've read your whole book. Absolutely love it. Fits right into our genre. We want to publish you. And I think I kind of sat there looking at it, and I went, hang on, when did I send this one? And I looked at it, and I think it's a week. And I'm thinking, holy shit, it's only a week. And I had to go back and read the letter, like the email, about 4 times for it to sink in that.
Pinch yourself to make sure you weren't dreaming.
Oh, seriously. And he'd actually sent attached one of their contracts, like, this is what our contracts look like, so have a read. And I didn't have time to have a read, obviously, because I was catching up with Andrew. And I remember dialing in to the Zoom call, and Andrew came on and goes, "Hey, how are you?" And I said, "Hey, do you want some good news?" And he went, "Oh, yeah, that'll be good." And I said, "I got a publishing contract." He went, "What? When did you send it?" And I said, "Last Friday." He goes, "What? In a week, you've got somebody that's come back to you and wants to publish it?" And I went, "Yeah." And it was like, I've read it 4 times, so I'm pretty sure that's what it says. So it was just, yeah, unbelievable, because I spent thousands of dollars, you know, doing the publishing myself. Like you spend thousands of dollars doing that. And yeah, that was, so it was just the right time, the right people that I sent it to. And
But
I've
there's more than
since,
that, Carol.
what's that, sorry?
I was going to say there's more than the right time and the right publisher. I mean, you had, and this is, again, we did a second podcast, didn't we, around expectancy, and you expected that to be published. You know, and I think, and I talk to a lot of people about when you can submit to a publisher with the expectancy of, oh, they're probably not going to want it. Yeah. Whereas you sent those manuscripts out going, I'm going to find a publisher. You felt it in your heart, and there's power and expectancy, and you know, so that's a really important mindset. Is such a big part of this process. People think, well, if I send it out enough, I'll get it, but not if you don't expect to.
I expected that somebody would pick it up, but when I got an answer back that quick, I just expected that it would be a no, because it was too quick. Everybody, like every website said, you know, at least 3 months. We're busy at least 3 months. You had said, you know, it's going to take a while. And I expected that. Yeah. I'm glad you lied. And the process has taken a while. And I mean, yes, it's probably bad timing that I can't have a book launch, but it's perfect timing for the Paralympic Games. And because the subtitle is From Police Officer to Paralympian, I just had an article in the Saturday paper, Linda Pierce wrote on me, and she mentioned my new book, which was perfect because it's perfect timing. I've just had a call, BBC want to interview me. It's probably because I'm so old and I'm still competing, but it's a perfect chance to slide that in there because it is being distributed by Brolga in the UK as well. So it's perfect timing for that. The ABC have got in touch and wanted to, you know, have a chat. So, you know, all those little things have come together. And yes, it might not have been out and I might not have had to have book launches, but it is perfect timing because of the game. Perfect.
I mean, and now even more reason for you to win a gold medal too, Carol.
Yeah, well, I plan on doing that. Come on.
Well, I knew you were going to do that anyway, but so that's awesome. We're just conscious of the time. I just want to see, has anyone got any questions for Carol? Kat has.
No, I don't, but I want to say well done.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks, Deb. Kat.
Carol, are you allowed to take copies with you to Japan and give them to other Olympians? And I just think that'd be a really cool, like, bonding. I don't know if that's allowed, but it just seems so cool. I don't know. I can just imagine being at the Olympic Village and being like, I think author will make you such a superstar. I'm just curious because I just think that'd be wickedly cool.
Look, if I could, I would. I've got 75 kilos of luggage going over. It's called 2 bikes, 2 bags, a backpack and a wheel bag. So
yeah, and books are not light.
No. I have actually given one to one of my teammates who's a young girl I mentor, and it's her first games. And she kept saying, I know your husband sent you 2 copies up to you, but can I buy one of them? And I actually, we had a night out away from the team atmosphere, like just to reset and just get our heads right. And I gave it to her as a gift and she was just over the moon. So it's, you know, people like that, you know, you want to inspire. And yeah, but it, you know, if I could, that would be great. But yeah, there's just no way.
Plug for days. That's what all the Aussie girls have been doing at the Olympics. So plug for days.
Yeah.
When you get back, Carol, there's going to be so much opportunity. And what we might do is we might do an online launch for you as well. You know, there's lots of opportunities, which is amazing. So,
And look, I have on my Instagram account, I've put a PayPal link, and I've actually sold heaps of copies that I now, when I get home, because I have to do 14 days quarantine when we get back. So that'll be like the end of September. I've only been gone like almost 8 weeks now. My husband and my dog aren't going to remember what I look like.
they're saying you in the news plenty, on the media. They're saying you in social media. They know what you look like.
Yeah, true. And so, yeah, so I have sold, which is great, and got a couple sales in today as well that came through. So I'll have my work cut out for me when I get home, just signing stuff and sending them out. So, which is
perfect job for isolation, hey, for 2 weeks in isolation.
Well, we don't know where we're going to be. We could be in Darwin, we could be in Melbourne, we could be anywhere. So it depends where they fly us back.
Awesome. Can you put that link there in your Instagram handle in the chat, Carol, just in case people are interested?
Yep, I can.
Anyone else got any questions for Carol, or any other comments, anything else they'd like to ask or share? I mean, Carol sort of epitomizes what, success, becoming a successful author is. And it's, she's got that mindset that, and the key is mindset. And I think a lot of people mistakenly think, I've got to be a good writer. Well, if you had to be a good writer, I would not be sitting here today, that's for sure. It's very much around vision, clarity. What do you want? So one of the first things is always, why am I doing this? You need clarity, you need desire. And then it's just really, it's just that consistency, as Carol spoke about, that daily deliberate consistency. Just create the habit. And I know Kat we've been working together for a few years, and that's been one of her challenges. But now she's been doing it now. She hasn't missed a day for how long now, Kat? She's keeping a track of
200 today will be 290.
290 days. So it's almost been a full year that Kat has not missed a day. And now for Kat, writing's no longer a will I or won't I. It's no longer, one of those things that, do I have to focus? It's just what she does now. And my goal is to help people get to the point where writing is just what you do. Because once you finish writing your book, then you're straight into your next book because you write. And that's how you write books. People go, wow, I mean, I've got 8 now. And if I'd done this since I published my first book, I'd probably have 20, but you write books when you write. If you keep writing, you'll write books. When you finish a book, you keep writing, guess what? You'll write another book. And the key is just the habit, that focus, that discipline with the magical ingredient, belief and expectancy. You believe in what you've got is good enough and expect that it will be a successful published book. And that's why, I mean, Carol's book is going to do incredible. I'm really excited for you, Carol. I know it's going to be amazing. Carol, Kat's just put in the chat that the PayPal link is saying deleted.
Oh, hang on. I might have typed it wrong. I'm trying to type. I'm conscious. No, because it is coming up on mine. So what have I done?
Anyway, while Carol's sorting that out,
Andrew, can I send it to you? Because I really have another meeting to go. That's
please send it to me. I'm going to send out an email to everyone now after this.
Yeah.
Anyway. So send me the link. Patrick, thank you so much for being here and for your input. Genevieve, wonderful to see you. Marcia, Kat, as always. Deborah and Debbie, thank you so much for being a part of this. We're going to do this again next month. So at this stage, it will be it'll be the same time in 4 weeks. Okay, so we're looking at the 6th of September. Yeah, I'll send out a link. I'll send out all the dates and follow up, and I'll send out the recording of this as well. So if you want to rewatch it, you can. But thanks for being here. Thanks everyone for contributing, and look forward to being a part of your journey and hearing all your wonderful successes. So I'll see you all soon.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks
Well
all. Bye.